Wow. You know, we talked about something earlier, man, and it's important that I share this, you know. You know, there was a dude earlier today, and some of y'all listen to me, and sometimes you don't get the message. And I get frustrated with that. But sometimes I have to correct you over and over again. And I'm going to be a little more patient with that now, because I feel as if you're bringing it to me. For example, right? If you bring something to me, like there was this dude that brought this woman that she's like an ex-stripper or whatever, and she was talking about how she sees how she was when she looks at these young girls, because she was promiscuous, sleeping with mad niggas, because she was always looking for love. And he shared the video, then he gave a caption that says, somebody probably saw a video of her. And I'm like, no, bro. She's talking about a testimony. She's telling you why she was that girl. Now I'm going to share this with you and then break it down exactly what she was saying, just in case, so brothers could understand. Hold on, where's the fucking audio?
Most that I went through, to be honest, and this is just me being 1,000% transparent, is me being up under niggas. Like, I was the girl that just went from being up under this nigga, didn't work out, didn't like how this went, so I went on, and I was up under that nigga. And I see so many young girls who have so much potential to boss up on their own that I be watching, and I'm like, oh my God, I see so much of myself in this, and I be cringing, because that was me. And I wish, and I, like, if I can go back in time, I wouldn't even, you know, because you attract better when you are becoming more, you know?
That's right.
And when you be up under niggas, they'll treat you a certain way. They'll treat you like you up under them. If you want to be the girl that be up under niggas and try to be, oh, you know, just somebody nigga, and just somebody's girl, or just to be like, oh, that's my nigga, like, you could be so much far ahead being that girl on your own and helping other girls and being a girl's girl, or like for the girls, rather than just being the girl that gives a fuck about niggas too much. Like, oof. India, that was a scary phase. I find it now, so I went from this person to that person to that person, trying to find the love that I see in my household with my parents, and it didn't work out every time. And like, I don't play. Like, if I feel uncomfortable, if I feel like you're not respecting the relationship or anything of that sort, I'm out, and I'll find the next person. It takes me 2 seconds to find somebody else. Trust me, not even 2. You feel me? So, and I was okay with just next, move that bus, next, you know, like, y'all remember that TV show where it was like the next bus? As soon as the nigga got off the bus and they didn't like it, it was next nigga, okay? 0.2 seconds. Like, I was playing that game, and I wish I didn't. Not even I wish I didn't, because again, I don't regret anything. I feel like it happened for a reason for me to be here telling y'all my story now. But so many phases I went through.
So what's interesting about this, right? So the brother that
so many phases I went through.
The brother that sent me this, he responded and said, with a caption that said, they all knew she was very easy, probably shared the videos. It's like, no. It does get on my nerves when people don't get it. But it's my job to correct you and then show you the difference. Number one, send a video and say, what do you think about this video? That's the correct way to do it. Because when you make a caption, it shows me that you judging because it ain't you. This is an attractive woman. she's saying she was looking for love. So she was going through this phase in life where she was dating celebrity to celebrity, and that shit wasn't a wave. She's also saying that she sees so much potential in young women. Most people don't see potential in nobody. We don't like young people. Nobody wants them at a party. You know what I mean? They don't want them event. You know what I mean? They fuck shit up. Some of them are smelly, especially the men. So if you see a potential in a person, that's powerful. You know, today I was in front of my daughter's school, and you know, my wife always says it's a shit show because you know what I mean. She had a daycare before, so she used to always tell me like when she was going to the schools, you know, prior to us having a daughter, I didn't understand it until now. She's like, it's a shit show. You'll see. And there's like certain parents that pass by to go to other sections of the school and shit like that. But anyway, there's this one girl, minds her business, very attractive woman, but she has a very confident walk, probably the most confident walk I've ever seen a woman today. You know what I mean? Minds her business. So this other chick, she be making jokes on some of the girls and the thing. Now, I know I get it, the girl that got the body like a P, because she says the girl got a fake body. But then today, she did some shit where I just was like, what? And this girl was like, she's like not black, but like mixed or some shit. She's white, but she's not. When I say mixed, I'm meaning like she's foreign. I don't know exactly what country she's from, Yugoslavia or some shit like that. But she fucks with black dudes, so you know what I mean? A little ghetto. So anyway, the girl passed by, so she made a joke like, yeah, her little walk, she tried to make fun of her walk. And I'm like, who, her? I'm like, that's probably the most natural. I said, no, at least she got a natural body. You know what I mean? Like, you joked about the woman with the P. That was one thing. Then I caught myself. It's kind of the same thing where I caught myself just now when I told you about the dude that was leaving a crazy comment, and I had to correct him and be patient, because I have a short tolerance for stupidity. I really do. But when I heard her dissing the girl, and I'm like, her? Like, at least her body's natural. Like, what is this about now? You just gonna be dissing all the pretty girls that pass by? And I looked at her like, nigga, like, you was a mess. Teeth all fucked up. Like, I don't understand people that feel that you got to adapt. We all do people watch, but if you gonna make fun of somebody, nigga, make it humor. Don't just make fun of people just for sport. Keep the comments to yourself. My dad used to always say, if you don't got nothing nice, don't say it at all. Nice to say, don't say it at all. And I caught myself. I said, you know what I'm gonna stop doing? Even the girl with the fake butt, that ain't nothing to be laughing at. Because at the end of the day, somebody else could hear me talking and then listening to her, and they'd be like, oh, he be with the hated chick dissing people. And now they don't respect me. You understand where I'm coming from? People watch shit like that. So it's my job to correct that. So the same way when y'all coming to me with dumb shit, I got to tell you, like, now you out of pocket, Paul. Like, that shit ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? So back to the situation at hand, when a dude shared this video with me, I had to tell him, I'm like, nah, she's taking full accountability. That's what y'all want. And I said, number one, this ain't no average woman here. She's an attractive woman. She had a high traffic rate. She was definitely getting the celebrities, and she said that shit was even worth it because she was doing the shit all just to get love and attention. And then he said, I could never get a girl like that because she's into guys with money. And I'm like, nah, I don't think it's the fact that she's into guys with money, nigga. She probably in a guy like you. Minus the confidence, because he don't have no confidence, but you know what I'm saying? She's ready for a guy like you. She's ready for a guy that's just going to treat her and do the right thing. But y'all cats drag a woman, and we have to, you know what I mean? We have to correct. Even if he may have a point, don't let him live in that shadow. Same thing with a girl. Like, I don't want her getting comfortable with, you know, me and my wife, we can make our little jokes and comments about people, but we got our, that's our shit. You know what I mean? Like, You can't think that you see me now and you got to be comfortable making jokes with everybody, nigga. You 40 plus fucking years old. That's not Cypher. We can't do that. So it's important for us. Now, if anybody's listening to the live stream now, whatever you heard in the music previous to when this video does come out, it's going to start from that girl talking. I'm just going to let you know that right now. Like, but I found that it was disturbing when I heard that. I'm like, nah, like basically don't trip on her like that. That ain't cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? You putting her down for what? You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't digging that. And I say this all to say, like, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And we have to begin to always correct people respectfully in a nice little moderate way and kind of distance ourselves from like, nah, I don't want to be that. Like, because now it ain't funny. Because what ends up happening now is you start entertaining people's bullshit and you become that, you know? This woman that was speaking about her testimony, she's going to attract a better zone of people now because she's doing better. And when you do better, you attract better. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be doing better. You can't just think you're doing better. When you're doing better, you'll see it. And that law of attraction, it works in all ways. It works now because even me, I see that I'm attracting a different method. Like, nah, that ain't cool. Don't be joking with that. You gotta school people. You know what I'm saying? Even when they out of pocket, like, nah, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? That ain't cool. Sort of like what we've been through in these live streams for the past few days. You gotta let people know, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? That ain't cool, because if people ain't getting nobody correcting them, then we just gonna get further and further from the 80s and 90s where people did that element of men and women that were strong and young at the time. They were putting us in, and it was really about logical things, but not just being in your middle years and you making jokes on people because they cute. That shit is crazy. Like, you know, you have to shout out to DJ, man. Have a good night. You know, I just feel that and that's the thing where it's important to me to let you know when you have a certain type of energy that's attractive, it attracts, right? So you're not gonna you can't attract people with nothing bad. It's not an attraction, right? So it's everything else but that. It's only an attraction when it's good. So people have to be schooled about that. So when people are sending me these videos and they feel that they're in a position to make a comment, make sure that you be ready to get corrected. Like, you know, this ain't the thing to drag her right now because of what? And then all along, he said he could never have a woman. So he felt that from the jump. You know what I'm saying? Because he looked at her and know he couldn't have her. So now, oh yeah, now she probably dealt with a dick and now she wants the good guy. It's like, nah, I don't think it's about wanting a good guy. She knows she needs a good guy, or a real man for that matter, right? You may not be in line for it because you don't have the confidence, but that's your personal problem. You know what I mean? And that's for me to do that. We all have a duty. When your friends are opening up to you, don't use that shit and weaponize it. Like, yeah, just in case they get on some bullshit, I'm gonna throw it in their face. Listen to them and realize that God has a duty for you. You know what I'm saying? I know I got a duty as well, even though I struggle with it a lot, but I know that I got the ability to keep people together. I want to also let people know too, even when we do the thing about the families and stuff, I tell you this, if you're going to block somebody, be prepared to block them. So in other words, on the flip side, I don't think I broke this down. Make sure you continue that. Because if you block them, there's no coming back to that. Because then you're just going to be a blocker. But if you're an individual that could ignore it, that's stronger. You got the line open, they got your access, but they don't have your access. So if they say some dumb shit, just don't reply to them. You got their message, nigga? Yeah, I got the message. Why you didn't reply? I didn't reply. You better off saying that than somebody blocking you. You don't know if they was trying to holler. And you just go ghost. Ghost is weak right now. So I don't want to give y'all the ghost method. I feel in life now, if there's anything that I gave that's off, I have to reinvert it and let you understand. It's not about telling people what you're going to do. It's about showing them Just show them, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you not rocking with somebody, don't tell them you ain't doing it. Just, they'll see, you know what I mean? That shouldn't be shared. I think that should be speaking in volumes from your physical. But I just want to say, if you do block somebody, make sure you're prepared to block them, because there ain't no turning back from that. Some people deserve to be blocked. They may not be, even worth being around. But for the most part, if they do have excess, you should know to train yourself not to respond to something stupid that they say. I think that goes in further. But as you do better, you're going to attract that method, because you're going to attract the people. Today when I was walking through the mall in Jersey today, just when I told you when that gentleman said to me, "You are a lucky man," and it was so wild, and I was like, you know how you call it them escalators, they be doing these YouTube videos, like, is that like a YouTube video? He didn't have no magnetic glasses, but I had to say, wow, you know what I'm saying? Thank you. And I don't even think women are able to be in a position like that, because y'all not in a position to really, what if a man genuinely says, wow, you're a beautiful woman, and you just got to turn your head and go, oh, here we go again, but not even realizing maybe that was really a message from God. Maybe God is sending his children to let you know that you are beautiful. But as a woman, how could you trust that when every Tom, Dick, and Harry? So we have to understand the difference between a guy trying to pick you up and being typical versus like maybe that was genuinely a message. I don't think people understand that, because we're not trained to understand what is and what's not. That woman shouldn't be comfortable enough to me to be pointing out, like I said, even the bubble butt, fake butt girl, it's my job now to say, she ain't bothering nobody. Let her do what she do. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be that person. I let her do what she do. You know what I mean? She ain't her. Even sometimes you ain't got to pee on a person's parade, but you do it in a smooth way. You know what I mean? Like, let her do what she do. You know what I mean? Because somebody may hear that and hear that you interjected that and like, wow, you know what I mean? The dude stood up for me. That means a lot. I feel that the flex now is to be a good person. Like that's a big flex. If you could be that person, then but it's tough. It's not easy. I'm just saying that I caught myself a couple of times today, and I was quick on the draw, because another sister, she spoke to me today. She knows she is. I want to cover everything, and she spoke on the fact of, Bob's Cartel took a picture with his daughter. He left his long letter. He says the first time he's seen it in his life, and I'm like, listen, man, with these entertainers, man, you can't put nothing past them. They're entertainers. They're here to entertain you. So the letter that was written probably was written from a damn publicist, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? But I don't get how men have all these children, and how the fuck you on tour doing this, and you been home from jail for nearly 2 years and you never seen your daughter till now? I feel that too much black men have kids for the wrong reasons, you know what I mean? And so she wanted to know what my take was on it. I said, that's my take, you know what I mean? I think too many brothers are not really telling y'all, or do y'all know that most men just want to have kids because it's a connection to busting a nut. It's sad but true. That's why there's so many men that don't take care of their kids. So in the schoolyard, instead of me looking at the fact of how many fathers are not there, I should also take acknowledge to the fact that there's not a lot of fathers there. So when we see these women coming up in there with bad attitudes or not wanting to be bothered, like, you don't know what they dealing with, man, raising their little kids by their own. Like, we got to be that, you know what I mean? We got to do more of that. We got to do more of that where we do the collection, because you can have a person that may have thought typical and you have to correct them. Like, everybody has a right to feel down, man, when they out here raising children by themselves. And I feel that women, we judge things, and we should all know, like, this woman that was judging the other woman, she's a single mother. Like, imagine somebody, you passing by people, like the cattiness of women where y'all dragging each other down, but nobody's checking y'all. So I think sometimes, like I said, I get caught up with it too, you know what I mean? Because I did. I used to laugh at her with the chick with the fake booty, but then it's like, it ain't funny no more. Because at the end of the day, it's like, she got to be confident enough to walk in here looking like that, right? she did it. She had to hear every comment from people, but maybe she's looking at the comments from people negatively and seeing that everybody hating. But we want her not to feel, we want her to, in a fucked up way, we want her to feel pain. We want her to hear the humiliation. And I don't think the humiliation is working with her. I think we're actually fulfilling her where that's what she wants, right? So if you think you look good and everybody is going against you, then all right, well, you're attracting hatred because you look good. So in a weird way, she's doing better too. You know what I'm saying? So that was the motive bringing the kids' fathers, because I feel like it's frustrating if you doing this and you haven't seen your pops. My man said he been raising his stepdaughter since 8 years old. She's 23, and the father's never been in her life. He never seen her. Nigga's completely out the picture. So being that the daughter has a lot of trauma issues, that the stepdaughter, that plays a part. You know what I mean? And I think we have to be the individuals to break the kind of address an elephant in the room, right? You know what I mean? Like, kind of always looking at that. And I think that's the maturity that we do need in our community, in our family, in our mindsets, more than anything. I think prejudgment can be fun, but it could also be very, very lethal, There's a fun side of it, and there's also another side of like, kind of let people do what they do, because people are going through changes and going through a lot of changes. So why do we judge? You know what I mean? I think that's important for us to embrace the tone of how we would perceive things, and and the perception that we give off. Women in the school may respect me a lot because they see the parents, because they see me there with my wife and my daughter. But if I was a slime bag and fucking couple of the parents, people don't respect that, because now they're gonna be looking out, he ain't shit, he be fucking me, and he bringing in kissing his daughter all in the face. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things like that. So I feel that kind of walk a different line and give people something to look at positively. So even when somebody judges me, they could be like, yo, you know what I mean? Bing, bing, bing. I think for whatever reason, I don't know, everybody's gonna judge somebody, right? But I did see today that my point is that God has me there for a reason. You know what I mean? He wants me to derail, keep the train on the line when it derails. You know what I'm saying? Don't sit there and just watch and take pictures. Like, if it's derailing in front of you and you have the ability to put that shit back on this track, that's my job. So I got to learn how to do that a little more than ever. And I see that essence, people need to see that. They need their lines, and that's what we're missing now, because when people think like they going through changes, they think of all the Joe G's that transition, but everybody has left here, nobody knows the answers. Me and my man was talking, we had a great discussion tonight when I was in Jersey, and he feels he's affectionate for the things that he does as far as provides, and I'm like, that's not affection, that's a provision. You're providing, and that's a great thing too. You're a great provider. A lot of women would love to have a great provider too, but what good is being a provider with no love behind it, right? So love would be more the action, man. Do you ever take your stepdaughter and hold her little head and kiss her in the forehead and tell you I love you? You know what I'm saying? And he said he never did. He said he doesn't do that because nobody listens, and he just stays with himself, and he hasn't been that affectionate because he went through changes with his mother, and his mother, when he was young, his mother left him because she was on drugs and whatever, like 12 years old. So I said to him, did your mother ever say, sorry? He said, no. I said, she never apologized? I said, nigga, when you driving your mother back home from Jersey to the Bronx, you don't get into that car? He said, no, we just don't even talk about it. I'm like, did I ever think that occurs, that harms you? Because you're not getting no closure. That was painful. And you can't keep sweeping things under the rug. So check it, right? So ironically, check how deep it gets. So I said, he says, well, he just kind of keeps things to himself because he always know how to figure it out, because 12 years old, my mother left me for drugs and left me and my 3 brothers and sisters behind. But I always figured out, when I'm going through training, I don't talk to nobody. I stay all to myself. I'm like, yeah, but that's not good. So anyway, my reason for going to him, in addition to seeing and visiting him, my sunroof in one of my older cars, it was clogged, like, and I kept getting all this water in the passenger side on the floor. I had the weather mats there, but it was getting wet when it rained because one of my cars stay outside the street. So he was like, well, let me just show you how this goes. I want to take the air and push it out because it gets clogged up like every few years. You know, it takes a long time. The car's older. And then when it clogs up, the water goes into the car. Some wild shit. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of the same connection to what we're talking about. So when shit gets clogged up, it bursts and go into a different direction. This water, especially water, you can't stop water. You could only redirect it, right? So it's kind of like with you holding all this stuff in and all this trauma of things that hurt you and things that you don't talk about. And then it just goes into the next day, to the next day, to the next year, to the 10 year, and it just becomes like, and then it bursts. It's like, man, it's kind of deep. I'm like, that's how I see it. I just think that's just simple logic of life. I said, why do you think people like to talk to me? He's like, well, you know, you're an ear and you're a good listener. I said, well, are you a good listener? You know what I mean? Do you sit down with your wife and let them talk without judging them and whatever? And he said he needs to work on that. And I admired the fact that he acknowledged that, because when he acknowledged that, I acknowledged it in a deep way and just said, it's a constant thing of us correcting. Today was a day of corrections because I'm starting to see things where I'm like, nah, that you know, that ain't funny. You know what I mean? Like, situations that's being presented, whether it was the video that was shared to me, which I thought it was extraordinary and inspired me to do this video. But meanwhile, my man's hitting her with some bitter shit. I'm like, nah, B. But normally I would have been like, man, fuck it, what, are you jealous because you ain't got, but I didn't do that. This time I just said, nah, she's not, I'm not picking that from her at all. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, it's very, very, very encouraging. And he caught himself and said, wow, maybe, you know, he probably realized he was hating all along because deep inside, he felt like he couldn't even meet a woman like that. He said it, he admitted it. So by the time I got over to my man, if he starts preaching about who he don't fuck with and I don't do that, I start thinking of like who I don't fuck with. And then I say, nah, don't do that, right? I'll catch myself, because then what's happening is I'm getting all these different angels kind of letting me know don't give up and love and inspire, knowing that I got a message and a mission to accomplish on this earth. I kind of have to switch my gears. So I don't want y'all thinking when we talking about family and friends, I'm like, yo, fucking throw them all in the dirt. I'm just telling you, if you can't deal with them, you should give it to God and ask God for forgiveness. Or you ask God for forgiveness first and then give it to God, vice versa, whatever. You giving it to him, you got, you know what I mean? It's just, this doesn't say, you know, forget everybody. No, you have to give it to him. You have to give him your burdens. This is a burden. I can't handle it. You know, it's kind of like, you know, hopefully it's like somebody has a kid, unfortunately, like I use this as an example. Let's just say you having a baby and they feel that they can't handle it. You know what I mean? Don't go kill the baby. Don't go smother the baby. Like, you know, give the baby away to a family or a hospital or a church, or, you understand? Don't push the baby in a trash can. That's what my point is, you know what I'm saying? So use that layout and say it's the same thing in life. When you having issues with family and friends and the shit that you can't bear to handle because it's too much trauma and the chances and the unblocking and the blocking and the bullshit and, you know, the craziness. Believe me, I got a lot of crazy motherfuckers, man. And Lord knows, excuse me for my cursing, but I got a lot of crazy people around me, man. And then it gets rough sometimes, but the angels let me know what to do. And I said, God, I give you my burdens because I can't deal with this, you understand? I don't want to do the wrong thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing, you know what I mean? I definitely don't want to do the wrong thing. So I'll give you that. And then he gives me the strength because I gave it to him. So I'm in tune with him, you know what I'm saying? You know, versus just jumping out the window and doing something crazy and then asking God for forgiveness and it's too late. because I snapped. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to take heed to the actions and look at these situations around you and deal with them more on a stronger level rather than a weaker level. You know, I don't want y'all picking up that don't fuck with them. You don't fuck with them if you gave him to God. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I gave that to God already. You ain't even got to tell nobody what you did. Just show them. You know, this is not about telling people, because telling people is going to open up a can of worms. You and God is in, you know what you did. God knows what you did. You know what you did. You and God is talking. You know, you just got to know how to deal with that situation without making it look isolated, because you could tell people, I didn't give it to God, I don't deal with them, and that's going to come off wrong. Now you open up a can of worms, you know. Even if you praying for somebody, you don't even tell them that, because sometimes that could be another, here we go, you know what I mean? Keep that to yourself. If you're going to do anything, show them rather than tell them. Tell them get you in trouble. So I just wanted to reiterate on that, to know when it comes to dealing with friends and family. Shout out to an old girl that talked about, she wanted to know what I felt about the Vibes Cartel and thing. Listen, once again, black men just have to understand, like, some man want to be in a woman and put his head in her ass, and some man want to bust a nut and I'll put a seed in that, and then that's exactly all he intends on doing. You know, ain't too many dudes that I seen look at a woman, we at a corner store, and he like, man, I'm telling you, man, that's the type of woman you start a family with. I haven't seen any of these discussions come to me. There's a lot of foolery going around, man. So friends and family that we have taken a little left turn, I have to give it to God. And I have to ask God for forgiveness, because maybe I let him down, because maybe I should have did something. Maybe I should, but when you give it to God, he'll let you know what he wants you to do. It's not to say you give him your burdens and ain't going to necessarily, he probably could tell you tomorrow, listen, I got a plan for you. But today, when I seen that man coming up that escalator, I didn't see him. He popped up and said, you're a lucky man, you're blessed, you're a lucky man. You know, what was that? Randomly? No, it wasn't random. That was sent from him. So I'm sending it to you. It's the same way. So whatever you going through, you probably like, damn, man, I was just thinking about that. Yeah, because I'm giving a message to God. We started the night off with a incredible layout of music, but tomorrow this video is going to probably be like 20 minutes long now, not 2 hours, because I got to cut out all the music, right? But I love you, man. I love you all, man. I really, really do. And even the people that's struggling out here, where we kind of like got to give them a little spank on the butt, man. They're like, nah, don't do that. That's not, you ain't got to do that. You know, do your part. It's important for people to see that when they coming out of line a little bit. Nah, leave them alone. And that's why I'm just done. It's family. Even if you're not getting through to them, they could see like he ain't the one where I could bullshit with, because he on some positive shit. And that's how you be smart. You want to be positive, speak more in the physical, not in the words, right? You learn how to do that. And I'm proud that I was able to pick that up real quick when bro sent me that video, because number one, if I was on the non-B mindset, I would have agreed with him. But as a B mindset, I'm like, nah, I ain't gonna trip on her. She inspired me to make this video today. This stream, that's powerful that I've heard these messages earlier. I got this video sent to me earlier, and I'm still, hours later, I'm still fresh into the mindset of it. Watching how God's work just works, man. So please never take it personal. We going through changes, so sometimes we don't know how to navigate and deal with things. But sometimes we may listen to a stream such as this, and I'm able to get in your head and like, when they tell you don't give up, you know what I'm saying? You gotta let them know they ain't alone. We are not alone in this fight, because a lot of people are struggling. They just don't know who to talk to. They don't know how to do it. Fuck who to talk to. They don't know how to talk to anybody. So people do it the easy way and just hold it in. And again, you hold that shit in, it's gonna ricochet and go into bad other areas. Like I said, in my car, that sunroof was clogged. And the more that water was clogged, the shit was going into the fucking car. It doesn't make sense, but it was. He showed me how. So just like it seeps through the crack, and instead of it going down the little guides that it's supposed to come out through the bottom of the car, the shit was going inside my shit. So he cleared it. And I'm here today to use that same concept and clear the way for you so that shit don't get stuck and go in wrong direction. So I hope we covered a lot of things here, man, but the main thing is that that's what I mean when you do better, when you're doing better, you're going to attract better. You know what I'm saying? You the mindset's going to change. And sometimes when I'm meditating and thinking and you know, we got our minds, but the God is always giving me especially me, because I'm in tune with that. He gives me a message. I may be waiting this way, but boom, out of this side, he hit me with a message all the time. And it happens all day, every day, you know. So as long as he knows that I'm connected to him, my message is, I'm going to read it a lot sooner than people that may not have seen that message was given to them, but it went right over their head, you know. So that is the clear connection. And ladies, if you're thinking of it from a perspective of dating, we don't mean the sense that you are, and I want to make this clear, we don't mean in the sense where you feel like, oh, you know, things are good, because you are doing good. No, you're going to tell you're doing better because you're going to be attracting better. That's when. I don't want you thinking, well, things are good, I got this promotion at my job. No, that's not to be determined through that. The determination is when you're attracting better. You're attracting better. You're doing better. As me attracting better, the mindset of when the other parent was knocking the girl, and deep inside, I was like, yeah, that wasn't really funny. You know what I mean? I didn't think that was appropriate. Quickly, I caught it real quick. You got to catch it quick. And, you know, I corrected her. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't harsh. But when you know what I mean? When you're becoming more, you attract better, you know what I'm saying? Because you're becoming more. And it's a fight, you know what I'm saying? Because every day, you know what I mean? It's going to have, especially when you're becoming more, you go through these ups and downs because you're becoming more. So when you're becoming more, you go through a lot of shifts, a lot of cleanliness, a lot of rejection. You know, that process, that's the toughest part. Seeing friends, seeing family, shit that, you know, you no longer... but on the flip side, you see the amount of things that you attract, you know. It's like Friday I ran into like a family member. We had this great conversation and I didn't want to do it. I just didn't want to, but I'm glad I did, right? So when you're becoming more, you get tested in things that way, because I probably couldn't have did that conversation like 6 months ago. And then when I took in the conversation the way I did, because, you know, I'm becoming more, this weekend was just a gift. It was incredible, you know what I'm saying? And I speak about it over and over again. It's not that I'm giving them the extra things, it's because I need to share this. This is a gift. I need to show you that when you're becoming more, that the reward is that, you know, you just start attracting more. And it was just a stupendous weekend. So if this coming weekend of whatever, I'm not going to get into the holidays because you may be hearing this post another 10 years, 10 weeks from now. But, you know, at least I'm a believer because of how last weekend went. So this weekend, you know what I'm saying? I ain't tripping. If the weather going to be bad, let the weather be bad. You know, gas is high, weather be bad. It is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? But as long as the good Lord bless me, I'm just going to enjoy every day, man. And, you know, be thankful for everything. You know what I mean? You got to. You have to be thankful for everything all day, every day. And that was been proven. So this weekend alone, the line that I seen from Friday to Sunday is incredible. You know what I'm saying? And I think it had me in like a weird dismay, but it also had me in a mode of appreciation. And now that the cloud is clear, I rested and see it. I'm like, wow, You know, what an incredible gift. That's just amazing when you could touch one person's heart meaningfully without intention of expecting anything, because it's the passion from your heart and you're sharing it. The gifts that you don't expect is just poof, poof, poof. And it's incredible, man. So, thank you, God, for getting me to where I needed to go today expeditiously. When I was in traffic today, I wasn't tripping. I was relaxed, because, you know what I'm saying, when you're becoming more, now you attract a mode of patience and a mode of allegiance, or the mode of knowing, like, hey, you know, confidence, like, it ain't gonna be here forever. Like, if you go up there, Elizabeth on 1 and 9, it's not backed up now. So you get out of it, and before you know it, I was chilling. I wasn't speeding. I got down into my destination, and it was solid. It was just a solid day. So, you know, I get it, man. So, you know, going into a full week of where we at, literally a full week. Today's Friday. Last Friday, like I said, I didn't think I would be here. So, spread the love, share the love, man. And, you know what I mean? Even when people's talking crazy and you agree with them, every now and then be like, nah, you know what I mean? Don't trip on that, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it makes her happy, you know what I mean? Like, learn how to get people out of that zone, because we can't. They may need that one person to be the OG. Maybe you are the OG, you know what I'm saying? And you the one that would have gave it to them the same way that they uncle that transition, or they mother that transition, or father, you know what I mean? Be that individual without putting effort into it. Let it come off just easy, and you'll see. Because like I said, you know, when you're becoming more, you know, you attract better. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's true. I'm living proof of it, man. Now, we all know the pros. The cons is it ain't easy. You gonna have some days where you down, because this process is very, very, very difficult, but it's worth it. And most things that are worth it are usually hard to, you know what I mean? So I just want to thank, and I want to thank everybody, man, that's able to deal with me. You know, people that I've shared things where we were closeness, and, you know, in a world where people are holding so much in and not sharing what's bothering them. You know, I know the women went, oh, men should be honest. No, we need to be honest with each other, and you know, share our trauma as a gift, not as a weapon. You know what I mean? You shouldn't tell me your trauma, I'm going to weaponize you again, or weaponize it against you. You should educate, share your trauma, so I can receive it as a gift to learn to do better, because maybe God has given me a gift, you know what I mean, from you, because he's given a message. God speaks to his children. So if we look at it from that method, we're not going to drag God. So if we put our trust in God, give him our burdens, then in the return of it, we'll start to see, like, wow, we gave him his burdens, but now you understand the literature, how we talk and how we kick it. Communication is definitely lacking, and a lot of people are just really having a hard time to learn how to embrace the art of expression. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you enjoyed the music. We wasn't a vibe for Donald Jones, giving him his flowers and showing Angela Winbushes and Kiki Wyatts, and it's important, man. It's important to pay homage, man, and give a reminder that we have feel good music and a good soul. So we got soul music. It goes into the soul, and then now I feel good because my soul is good, and now we're able to share it with the world and put it out there. So that's what it's about. Don't give up on that level. Now, again, this don't mean, I'm just telling you, some motherfuckers deserve to be blocked. But if you're going to block somebody because you're going to go through a method of unblocking them, just realize that's now you're going through dysfunction. You don't want to do that. To avoid that dysfunction, that level of mental illness, you want to just know every message can't be replied to. That's it. If you don't like what a person said, just don't reply to them. You have the right to do that. You know what I mean? You have the right to be silent. You ain't even got to explain to them. Believe it or not, that'll be in larger volumes, and you don't use the art of connection. Some family members should have contact with you, you know what I mean? For obvious purposes, but they, you know, if it's going to be abusive, then you use it, use your own discretion, but don't use the discretion with your emotion, and you may X out the situation and go a little too far and look like a loony bin at the end. So you don't want to do that, but we're going to touch on that every single day, man. So much love to y'all. I appreciate y'all. Stay vigilant. Don't give up. You know what I mean? Express some love. You want to go to be a good person. Some people may think, I was a good person, now I'm bitter. Nah, well, you know what I mean? You was doing it for the wrong reasons. Because you looking for validation. You know, just spread the love, and you know what I mean? You know, and that way you can pick and choose your shit. Like, person call you like, fuck, I ain't ever, you didn't return their call? Nah, I'm not returning their call. They just left me a crazy message. I'm not returning that. You don't have to. And if the crazy message is something that you may, you know, build the strength of and say, nah, I have the right to do that. You know, beyond my constitution, just as a human, I don't have to reply to that. Rather than just taking the shit, you know, disrespectfully and throwing it all away. You don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? So much love. I love you all. Get used to saying I love you. Get used to saying I'm sorry, and apologize to yourself today. Say to yourself, I'm sorry for putting you through this. I'm sorry for putting your body, my precious body, through this. And man, you can say this too. You know, guard your temple. Don't abuse it. Shout out to that woman, man, that said she could look at herself through other girls and realize, damn, I was doing that. That's deep. You know what I'm saying? We need that. And as a man, you should take need of that knowledge like I did and say, yo, you really opened my eyes. Instead of trying to suck a titty, nigga, just tell her, yo, you really opened my eyes. I heard your comment, the thing you spoke about today. Thank you for sharing that. And people will respect it, like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, when you're becoming more, you attract better. So much love. Y'all have a great night, man. Class is dismissed. I love you all. Have a good night. Peace.